Captain Keith here with MarineMax Clearwater.
Captain Nick Pavlakis from MarineMax in St. Petersburg, Florida, and welcome to our boating tip series. How much anchor rode are you typically going to want on the boat? And let's talk ratios as well. How much line are you letting out? How are you guesstimating it for what depth of water you're in?
So typically, rule of thumb, on a nice day, you want to have 5 foot of anchor rode out, 5 foot of anchor line for every foot of water you're in. And also take into account the distance from the bow of your boat, where your anchor is, down to the water. So that's going to add, 3 or 4 feet, depending. If you're just letting it out by yourself, just with you're tossing it overboard, you can kind of count it out as it goes out, because you know how deep it is when it hits the bottom, and then just letting some out, right? You just get a good angle on it, and like I said, you got to set that anchor really good to make sure it wedges down into the bottom. If you've got a windlass, it's a little more difficult, because you've got to either kind of count, if you know it falls 1 foot per second or whatever it is, but then you get in a conversation or you get distracted, you're not going to be able to remember where you're at. So what a lot of people will do is at like maybe 20 foot, you'll take your line and get a can of red spray paint and make a mark. Then at 40 foot, you put 2 stripes on it. At 60 foot, you put 3. So as that's going out, you can kind of look and see. So you see those 3 lines go out. So now you know you've got 60 foot of anchor rode out. So it just makes it easier to kind of adjust and keep track of where you are.
And after you do it enough times, you can kind of judge by the amount of scope that's out and the angle of the anchor line coming off of the bow exactly what looks right. And the reason for that, as I'm sure Keith has mentioned before, let's show what happens. Some people will say, man, I hate this anchor, it doesn't hold the boat. But a lot of times there's a couple reasons why your anchor might not be holding. One, not having enough scope out. If you have enough scope out, you're letting the chain do its work. So take a look at this right here. We'll get this fortress out of the way. When this anchor is being pulled, when there's enough line out, it's digging into the sand, right? You don't have enough line out, you got an angle like this, it's not gonna have the right angle. It might not dig the way you want it. Also, something that I think is definitely underrated is just not have enough chain, right? Yep. So how much chain do you like to see on a boat for different sizes? Like, let's say you've got a 30-foot boat. Is there any sort of rule of thumb for how much chain you're going to want to use, or not really?
It's just kind of what you're using the boat for. I mean, you and I, right, we like to fish offshore, and we're on some rocky, hard bottom and all that stuff. That chain also helps the abrasion factor, so you're not chafing up your rope. More chain, the anchor's going to drop down faster as well, and it's going to hook better. But I'd say a minimum, what we've got here, like 5 foot on this. So, probably minimum of 5, and I go on up to like, 15 foot or so. It's just what you can handle and physically be able to pick up.
While we're over here, let's talk about the ground tackle we're working with, Keith. From the anchor going down, there's a few moving parts here, or a few different pieces of hardware. Right here, we've got a shackle, and I notice here that you've got some wire tied on here. What's the reason for that?
So this is stainless steel safety wire, and it's on both ends. So what that's going to do with this shackle, it won't allow it to twist out. So if this piece wasn't on here, over time, maybe somehow or other, this pin would work loose. You could end up losing your anchor. So when we're doing an orientation or a delivery on a boat, our riggers, they'll go through and they'll safety wire most everything up like this. If you don't have stainless steel wire, you can get a small zip tie and put it through there. Just go through the little hole and then wrap it back around through there, just so that can't unscrew.
Thank you for joining us once again, and until next time, we'll see you on the water.
See you guys. Thanks. Have a great day.